The biggest metabolism secret isn't a pill, or a 30-day cleanse, or a workout. It's that your body burns 70% of its total energy every single day, doing absolutely nothing. Stop jogging. Stop counting every crumb. You've been lied to. For decades, the wellness industry has convinced us that your metabolism is some tiny, fragile pilot light that needs constant stoking, a thing that inevitably slows down and leaves us helpless. But here's the jaw-dropping truth. Metabolism isn't just about the rate you burn calories when you run. It's the complex, fiery engine deep inside you that keeps the lights on, the pumps running, and the entire chemical infrastructure of life functioning. It is the cost of existence. And it's time to stop treating that engine like it's a temperamental antique and start treating it like the power station it actually is. ACTY. The 70% rule and the great misunderstanding. We need to break down your total daily energy expenditure, the TDEE, into its real components. You can picture it as a three-part pie chart. The first, and by far the largest slice, is the 70%. We call it your basal metabolic rate, or BMR. This is the energy required simply to be alive, to pump blood, to fire neurons, to breathe, to keep your liver functioning, and to regulate your temperature while you're lying on the couch watching TV. The second slice, about 10%, is the thermic effect of food, or TEF. That's the energy your body uses just to break down and process the calories you consume. The final slice, the one everyone obsessively focuses on, is the remaining 20%. This is the energy you burn through movement, and we can split it into two parts: formal exercise, like lifting weights or running, and everything else, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, or NEAT. The fundamental misunderstanding is this. People spend 90% of their effort trying to influence the 30%, the cardio and the food, while completely ignoring the 70% engine that runs all day long. If you want to speed up your metabolism, you don't need to push the accelerator harder. You need to build a bigger engine. He-myths are relentless, and they are usually rooted in desperation. Let's kill 3 of the most damaging ones right now. Myth 1. Starvation, diets, and the survival mode. Trap. You've heard the advice, just eat less, so you drop your calories to 1200 or 1000 a day. You see fast results, but then you stall. You're miserable. Why? Because you triggered the body's ultimate survival mechanism. Your metabolism is not a moral judge. It's a brilliant accountant. When calories plummet dramatically, the accountant hits the panic button. It realizes resources are scarce, and it must conserve energy to keep you alive. What does it do? It lowers the BMR. It literally slows down the engine. It makes you lethargic, cold, and causes hormonal shifts to crank up your hunger signals. You didn't slow your metabolism because you're old or broken. You slowed it because your body thought you were trapped in a famine. Crash dieting doesn't speed up fat loss. It makes fat loss exponentially harder in the long run. Myth 2. Detoxes, cleanses, and magic pills. Any product promising to flush toxins or reboot your metabolism is selling you snake oil. Metabolism happens inside your cells, driven by mitochondria, the powerhouses. It's not regulated by a juice cleanse. Your liver and kidneys already do the job of detoxification perfectly well. These cleanses simply purge water weight and glycogen, giving you the illusion of rapid progress. When you take a pill that promises a metabolic spike, it's often just a massive dose of caffeine or a mild stimulant. This might raise your heart rate and burn a few extra calories, but it doesn't fundamentally change the structure or power of your 70% engine. It's like putting premium gas in a rusty old bicycle. Myth 3. Endless, low intensity cardio. There is nothing wrong with cardio for health, but if your goal is a metabolic overhaul, 3 hours a week on the elliptical machine is the definition of diminishing returns. Once your body adapts to steady state cardio, it becomes incredibly efficient. It finds the easiest, least caloric intensive way to perform that movement. You have to run further, run longer, or run faster just to maintain the same caloric burn. It's a treadmill of effort, and that 20% activity slice gets smaller and smaller as you adapt. You're sprinting to stay in the same place. So, if all the popular advice is flawed, where is the true power? It lies in 4 actionable strategies that focus on upgrading the 70% BMR engine and smartly optimizing the other 30%. This is the number one secret to long-term metabolic control. Muscle tissue is metabolically expensive. Fat tissue, for all intents and purposes, is dormant. When you replace 1 pound of fat with 1 pound of muscle, that new muscle requires more calories just to exist, even when you are sleeping. Lifting heavy weights, performing bodyweight exercises, or using resistance bands doesn't just burn calories during the workout. It dramatically increases your resting BMR all the time. You are increasing the size of your energy furnace. When you lift, your body has to spend up to 48 hours afterward repairing the damaged muscle fibers. An extended calorie burning event known as EPOC, or the afterburn effect. This is the only way to sustainably increase the 70% baseline. Forget the gym for a second and look at the single greatest variable between two people with similar body weights, their NEAT. This is the hidden source of calorie burn. Fidgeting, standing instead of sitting, taking the stairs, pacing while on the phone, cleaning the house, or parking further away. Research shows that highly active, non-exercising individuals can burn hundreds, even 1,000 more calories per day through NEAT than their sedentary counterparts. It is an unconscious, continuous energy burn that requires no sweat and no specific block of time. If you can integrate an extra hour of standing or low-key walking into your workday, you will often outburn the person who just did 30 minutes of punishing cardio and then sat still for the next 8 hours. Be a fidgeter. Be an opportunist of movement. Remember the 10% TEF slice? That's your body burning calories just to digest food. Not all foods are created equal in this process. When you consume carbohydrates or fats, your body uses a relatively low amount of energy to process them. But when you consume protein, your body has to work significantly harder. Up to 30% of the calories contained in a protein source are burned off during the digestion and processing of that protein. By increasing your lean protein intake from sources like chicken breast, fish, eggs, and lean beef, you are literally eating to burn more calories. It also has the added benefit of promoting satiety, which means you feel fuller for longer, helping to manage your total calorie consumption without relying on willpower alone. Finally, we arrive at the anchors that drag the whole ship down: stress and poor sleep. This is where metabolism, hormones, and the brain collide. Chronic stress elevates cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone. High sustained cortisol levels promote fat storage, especially visceral fat around the midsection, and can directly interfere with the function of your thyroid, the master gland of metabolic regulation. If you are chronically sleep deprived, the body's repair mechanisms stall and your metabolism becomes sluggish. Sleep is when the BMR engine does its essential maintenance. If you skip that maintenance, the engine begins to misfire. Prioritize 7 to 9 hours of quality, dark, cool sleep, and manage stress through simple, non-caloric methods like breathwork or meditation. This isn't fluffy advice, it's fundamental hormonal management. We started this journey believing that metabolism was a race against time, something you had to push and punish into submission. The truth is much simpler and much more empowering. Your metabolism is not something to be feared, it is something to be built. You don't need a quick fix. You need a permanent upgrade by focusing on resistance training, maximizing your daily spontaneous movement, prioritizing protein, and honoring your sleep. You stop chasing the tiny 20% burn and start supercharging the massive 70% foundation. Stop jogging for hours to burn an extra few hundred calories. Start building the muscle that burns those few hundred calories for you every single day while you sleep. That isn't a diet. That's a metabolic revolution.